Alright guys, gonna throw this together quick. Got a 2017 XP1000 RZR. Was throwing speed sensor codes on it. I should have pulled them up before we got them cleared, but I think it's like a 0182 and a 0084 or something like that. If you got them, you already know what you're looking for. You're trying to figure out what it is. Backstory: changed the speed sensor on it. Didn't fix the issue. Got an actual Polaris one, not one from Amazon. Ordered one from was it Fix My Stuff or whatever, or Side by Side Stuff, I believe. So it's a Polaris one. I had good had power going to it. Had good continuity to the ground. Had continuity to the wire come up with the computer. Took it into a Polaris dealer. Thought they'd do a better job. $300 later, still broken. They said it was a wiring harness. Quoted for almost $2,000 to change the wiring harness. And I figure I can find it. If it's electrical, I will figure out what it is. So tore into it. I had a feeling it wasn't entirely in the harness, just because if you look at older ones, they did have some wiring issues. The way they designed the harnesses, these harnesses were built a lot better, but I still went through it. Here's your speed sensor. I'll move that out of the way for you right there. There's a new one on it. I already started wrapping it back up just because I was checking it. And I chased the wires, had this all the way out of the machine, chased this all the way out, pulled the wiring harness all the way out. Like I said, I had good continuity coming to the ground, which it is. Here's your chassis ground. It's a straight run all the way from there to here. You know, so that wasn't an issue. I pulled it even off, you know. And then come into the computer here. Here's my signal wire. Little splice in the tap it, but I had good continuity all the way. I did open this. I pulled this apart. These come apart very easily. And I checked my pin connection, make sure I had good. So I had good continuity. There wasn't any connections all the way for my ground or my signal wire. The power wire, I was getting 12.7 back there, but after opening it up, it does split a couple times inside the wiring loom. So what happens is it comes up, and then it looks like they're putting all the drive stuff together in this power circuit. So splitting it up, here's one of the wires. These are just on here for me for referencing, to tape them to mark them. Here's one of the oranges coming up here, and what it is 12 volts powering it up, and then that goes to the speed sensor. So that's where I was trying to figure out where these are all going to chase down my issue. There's one there, and then two going to my fuse block. One's to the chassis relay, and the other one's going to the EPS relay. The weird thing I was having was a bleed over from the positive to the ground when it's unhooked. Even the battery off, I disconnected the starter to eliminate the motor. I was getting a bleed over, and that's what was throwing me off to think it's not necessarily a wiring harness, even though the dealership said no, it's a wiring harness. $1,000 for wiring harness, $700–800 to change it. So, but I was like, man, it just doesn't seem like it. I was getting bleed over, which makes it seem like a sensor. Something else is causing it to go bad. So we unplugged everything on the back of the machine. Was still having the bleed over. When you check your continuity through it, the power steering unit was causing some bleed over underneath there, but there is a drive motor in there, but unplugged, it was still coming up. I was having a problem with the 4-wheel drive switch. Was causing a bleed over on the ground, which also does it because it has the same orange wire right there. And then up front, I haven't tore this apart, which I'm glad I didn't. I was about ready to. Orange wire in a diagnostic port, and then one last spot, which is my culprit. Orange wire going to your brakes, for your brakes pressure switch. Now I did read online, someone was saying that that's what theirs went bad, and how they noticed it was their brake lights were on all the time. Now I hadn't noticed it because since it went out, I had always been working on the machine and never behind the machine, and I always pushed the brake pedal down to start it, so I didn't think anything about it. So in theory, I could have just started up without the brake pedal being down, and that probably would have thrown a flag to me. But here it is, corroded out connector, letting it bleed over. Brake lights were on. It thought the brake lights were on, But the weird thing is, mine wasn't throwing a code for someone online brought up on the forums, and they said that there's another code for it, throwing your brakes, pushing your brakes and accelerate at the same time. Mine did not throw that. Yeah, you can kind of see it down in there, a little orange burnt, but that's what it was. As soon as we unplugged it, we had to jump it to fire it off, and then it started up and jacked it up a little bit, revved it up, and it went away. So that was the issue on this one. It will be just the connector, not even, no issue with the brake pressure switch, because I got continuity across it when you push it, so it is actually functioning. It's just electrical connection from going through mud and water, which they're designed to do, sort of. But that's it. Just figured to give you guys the update. Just keep looking at the dealers can't figure it out. It is probably just a little sensor somewhere that is corroded with water. And that this one, you know, like I said, it was the drive line. One of the newer ones I saw, they tie more together than what this one does. I was looking at 2019 wiring diagrams. There's even more in that same circuit, so it's going to get even more difficult to figure it out, versus this one kind of narrows it down. Because I'm going to go ahead and assume if I would have chased this orange wire up here, which I was getting ready to do, cut this loom all the way open, I would have seen the split, and I could have went up here and started splicing into what, or checking what everything went to, and I would have narrowed it down. But that's it. Good luck with your guys' fix.